So we're gonna start today with a little cold start of the stock exhaust on the GR86. Nothing special, not too much noise, but it does do some little pops on downshift. So we're excited to see how much more that's gonna be with the new titanium exhaust from Tomei. All right, so we got the car in the shop now, and first thing you're going to want to do obviously is get it in the air so you can work on it. Now you can do jack stands if you have a lift, that's great. If you don't, whatever. Jack stands work just fine. Definitely recommend everybody get a set of quick jacks. They're low profile, they fit under lowered cars pretty well unless you're really slammed, but they have different size little rubber blocks. These are kind of the taller ones. You can stack these, they're kind of like Legos, but we just have the smaller ones on there right now. Line those up with the jack points. Hook up your hydraulic lines. Plug the pump in to just a regular wall outlet. And watch her go up. How simple is that? And then once it clicks onto the highest point, you just back it off till nothing happens. And then these just kind of lock into place on these little spots here. And that gives you quite a bit of space to work with underneath the car. Much better than jack stands, and a little more stable. And we haven't had a single issue with these, so definitely recommended. Like that.
The tools that you are going to need to install our new Tomei exhaust: 12, 13, 14 mil wrench or sockets, or both for that matter. On the stock exhaust, it takes a 12 mil and a 14 mil, but on the new hardware for the new exhaust, it is a 12 mil and a 13 mil. And then we have a pry bar just to help get the exhaust hangers off, along with some PV blaster to help lubricate it.
And now, since this car is pretty much brand new, you don't have to really worry about oxidation, rust, stuck seized bolts, anything else like that. But good rule of thumb is to soak anything that you're going to be removing as far as nuts and bolts in PV blaster to help you out. This one shouldn't be any issue. It hasn't been through any Minnesota winters yet or anything else like that. So we're just going to go ahead and get cracking on it. See bolts, start removing them. They're connected to the exhaust.
No, they're connected to this thing.
Yep. So really, you don't have to remove those ones.
Oh.
Because it's all, we can take the whole thing out as one piece. That way it just removes one step.
So then I go...
Yep, so go all the way down there. Those are the 12 and 14. All right, and now, exhaust hanger. I think you can see it there. Just pry bar, sprayed some PV blaster on it for some lubrication. Get something to pry against, and pops right off. Just do that on both sides. There are 4 hangers, and then you are good to go. One thing that might help too is to get little jack stand if you're doing this by yourself. If you have a buddy, it makes it easy, but since we're both kind of working on this, put a jack stand underneath the exhaust so once you get the hangers off and everything, it doesn't just want to slam down on the ground. And then just support the weight of the exhaust here. Get the jack out of the way. Alright, pick your feet up, hold on to it. It's teamwork right there. And there you have it, stock exhaust out. It's weird because they like pre-dent this resonator. But yeah, I mean you can, it's heavy. So if anybody wants a stock GR86 exhaust, throw that on your first gen. Big upgrade. Wash your hands before touching it so you're not all greasy. That way when you go, once it's all in and you go to wipe it all down, it's a little bit easier. Because all this titanium here, you don't want your grubby little fingerprints burned into it. Now this is the Type 80 Tomei single exit for the first gen. It's a larger diameter, meant for forced induction. We're gonna go ahead and start installing this. So we'll put the first piece on here, get that kind of roughly bolted up, and then we'll kind of work our way back. Don't tighten anything down super snug until you get the whole system in and can kind of adjust the alignment where the exhaust tip is coming out, things like that. So now again, the new hardware that's included are 12s and 13s. So these two bolts right here are for that piece. The single one is gonna be for the hanger for the actual muffler. All right, so now while she's working on that, and you can do this in whatever order you want. It might be easier to put these together off the car, but the second piece is only gonna go one way, so figure out which end goes in first. It should be lubed up still from the PV blaster earlier. And now you'll have little springs that need to go onto these. So this is where people have said that they get like a metal rattle or a loud noise and they think something's wrong, and all it's doing is it's just hitting this heat shield right here because there's not much space. So that's what they're hearing. So not a big deal, and you can adjust this so if I spin this piece downward, it pulls everything away from there. If I twist it the other way, brings it really close to that. It all depends on how you tighten everything down. So just be aware of that. This clamp with the hangers, and you're gonna wanna put it like this. The one with the two bars facing towards the front of the car. And then just make sure to use the little rubber gasket piece that they supply. That way you're not going metal on metal with this clamp. The other clamps that you throw on, doesn't really matter. Those will just go on, but make sure to put those on before you start tightening everything down. Otherwise, you're gonna have to start removing it again to redo it. And then this will just slide over that, and then you can go ahead and mount it up. Yeah, and you can twist that pipe. This is why you keep everything loose, so you can maneuver things around. Yep. And then line up the hangers, and then we'll pop those into place. All right guys, exhaust is on. Everything's snugged up, springs are on, clamps are on, everything's tight. When you shake the exhaust around, like it would be when you're driving, it's not running into anything. And that was just because we took some time and made sure before we tightened everything down that everything was in the exact position that it was going to need to be. Now granted, things can move around as time goes on, so we'll do some updates later on if we have any issues, but you shouldn't have to wrap the resonator or cut out any heat shields. And speaking of heat shields, this factory one for the muffler, I mean, technically that doesn't really need to be there anymore, so. It's like getting into a lifted truck.
Yeah.
So that was a little baby cold start, but give you an idea. And now, once it's warmed up and just at idle, it's pretty mild. And we're in a tin shop, so it's pretty quiet in here right now. Give her a few revs. Waiting for like the little pops because it'll pop. Yeah. It's actually like a really nice deep tone. Sounds really good. No exhaust leaks at this point, and then this is the main one, but I don't hear anything. Super nice. Sounds so good. Make sure you're not going to lower down onto anything. Make sure you're not lowering down onto the hoses. And just keep going until it completely stops. So much better. So much better. Hey! Hope you guys can hear the little pops. And that's stock.
Yeah.
I mean, exhaust, but first gen didn't do that. Sounds so good. So yeah, it's definitely lower RPMs that it does the pops. If you're coming from high RPM, decel, downshift, it doesn't really do it. But if you're like 4,000 RPM and then downshift, it pops. And sometimes it's one big pop, other ones it's more of a crackle. Super nice for just a stock car, no tune, no fuel mapping, nothing like that. Just throw an exhaust on it. And I can't say for other exhausts, but this one definitely, it's noticeable. Let us know what you guys think of the exhaust. Let us know if you have any questions about it, any specific things that we didn't cover. I mean, it's an exhaust install. They're all pretty basic. This install is super straightforward and simple, just like the first gen. Almost, I mean, it is exactly the same as the first gen. And this exhaust does fit. As of right now, we're not having any rattles or any weird sounds or anything else like that. Like I said, once things kind of wear into place and move around as they're going to, we may get that, but then it's all just about how you adjust it and twist the pipes to make sure that they're out of the way and shaking it around, making sure that they're not going to hit anything, and you shouldn't have any issues. So, but it sounds super good. The pops are amazing. Now it's like a new car that we get to re-enjoy for the first time.